This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and for the first time, I'm joined by potentially the new star of female boxing. If we take everything that Anthony Crolla has to say for gospel, in Rhiannon Dixon. Rhiannon, how are you?
Oh, wow, what an introduction. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to speak to you for the first time. As I say, Anthony Crolla has only said positive things about you. Just to kind of touch on that as a good starting point, what's it like to know that Anthony has such kind of high hopes for you and believes you have a lot of ability that could take you very far in the pro game?
It's unbelievable because he's had such an amazing career and achieved so much. And it's still like, I'm still starstruck now. And he's like, I believe in you so much and you're looking really good. And I can see the improvements since I've started with him, but it's still a bit like, oh my God, Anthony Crolla thinks I'm good. So, yeah, it's a bit like starstruck, but I think I'm getting used to it now.
We'll come on to kind of your relationship with Anthony in a little while, but let's just kind of go back to your route into boxing. I've done some research on you. I've looked into kind of past articles, and I've seen that you've contested a number of white collar bouts. So kind of going back to that period of your boxing career, talk to me about the benefits and also the negatives of boxing on white collar shows.
Well, I got into boxing quite late. I think I was about maybe 20 or 22, something like that. So when I first started, I just wanted to get fit. So I just started having PTs with this boxing coach. And I didn't really know much about like amateur and unlicensed. So when I started, I just did it to get fit. And then he was like, oh, well, why don't you have a fight? So I obviously went through that route. And, if you don't know about like the amateur route and the white collar route, it's hard to try and find your way through boxing. If I could go back in time, I probably would have started boxing a lot younger and gone through the amateur route and, got so much experience through that way. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that. But with white collar, there's only so many girls on the circuit. So once you've fought most of them, there's hardly anyone left. And obviously, the talent isn't as good as you would find on the amateur scene. So the only really way for me to progress was to turn professional, which I did.
It's an interesting kind of topic you raised there. You mentioned that there isn't a great depth of female boxers on the white collar scene, and certainly kind of even on the professional scene. Just to pick that one back up there, Rhiannon, you mentioned kind of the lack of depth in the white collar game for female boxers. Certainly still even in the professional ranks, there's not a great depth with regards to the jump from, say, the domestic level up until world level. It's tough to find that right balance for many a female fighter. With regards to the white collar scene, how did you find kind of trying to find opponents who would continue to develop and progress your own abilities where you could see the improvements?
I think it was really hard. I think a lot of the girls who were doing it, because they get paid, they do it for money. But I was quite fortunate because I was able to spar a professional girl called Kirsty Bavington. I don't know whether you know her. She's from like Birmingham way. So I was sparring with her, so I could kind of see where I was at before turning professional. And obviously, like with the girls on the white collar scenes, they all spar each other anyway, but then fight each other. So it's a bit weird. But I was lucky in the sense that I found Kirsty and was able to spar her and see that I could handle myself at a professional level.
One thing before we do come on to kind of the development of your career is you mentioned you never kind of took to boxing until you was 2021. Do you still have any form of regrets that you didn't look at kind of some form of that amateur scene? I know it might have been difficult, but did you still consider it?
I don't think it was ever put to me. It was never like an option. No one ever said, oh, this is what happens in amateur and stuff like that. It was always the coach that I had at the time was purely focused on white collar, and I kind of put all my trust in him at that time. So he told me to like do these fights, so I did, and then he was like, oh, we could go professional. So then I thought, oh, I trust him, and then we'll do it, and then that was that. But I've always been involved in sport all my life. Like I used to do dance and then CrossFit. So I've always kind of been involved in some form of sport, some type of way.
Talking about your pro journey so far, Rhiannon, you're only a couple of fights in. I know you was meant to fight before lockdown took place in the beginning of last year, or towards the beginning of last year. What did you make of it up until the point when everything got put on hold?
I really enjoyed my debut. It was quite like a lot of pressure at the time, because I think we only got told the week before that it would be on TV, and they were like, "Oh, we want to put you on the I think it was on Channel 5 Spike, I think," and they were like, "We want to do like an interview with you before and an interview with you after," and I was like, "Oh no, someone wants to interview me on live TV. What am I going to say?" And then like when I was walking out, the cameras were there, and they put a massive light on you, and I was like, oh my god, like I just don't want to be here. Someone just pick me up and take me in the ring, like, because I'm quite awkward with like walking out and stuff. But I really enjoyed it. And then after the first round, I knocked her down, and I thought, oh my god, this is it, it's over. And then I saw her get up, and I was like, oh my god, you've just ruined my debut. Thanks a lot for that. So that was good, and I was really excited for like how my career was going to progress from then. And then my second fight, she didn't really come to fight, to be honest, and I was quite disappointed in my performance. She just held on a lot. So I was looking to redeem myself with my third fight, but obviously that got cancelled. So I've been quite fortunate though, because obviously I changed gyms during lockdown, and it's given like me and James, who moved with me, James Moorcroft, so much time to like get to know Anne, and like us lot really gel together. And like he's taught us so much in this like period of time, that like if an opportunity did come at any time, like we would be ready now. So we have been quite fortunate. Like this lockdown's been a good time for us all to get to like know each other. But we're all kind of just a bit like ready now to show everyone what we've been learning.
How did you and Anthony cross paths?
So me and James, we left our old gym, and we went to speak to our manager, and we were like, oh, things aren't working out there. What do we do now? Because we still want to be boxers, but like we just didn't know what to do. And Steve was like, oh, well, really, people kind of know where they're going before they leave. And we were like, oh, we didn't think that this would ever happen. So what do we do? And then he said a few names to us, and he said like Anthony Crolla, and we were like, Ant's a coach. And he was like, yeah. And we were like, oh my God, ask him if he wants to train us. And then, because obviously we both come from white collar, we're kind of like, I don't know. And then Anne was in Portugal at the time, and he was like, oh yeah, it'd be great like to do some training sessions and see if we all like each other. And then we haven't looked back since.
What's it like training with Ant? Because of course, we know of his accomplishments as a professional, but even as a coach, whenever I've been up to Gallagher's gym and I go up there regularly, I always see him kind of learning off what Joe's saying. He's got his notebook, he's got a little notebook and his pen taking notes down. What's it like seeing him from a coaching perspective?
It was really intimidating at first, like when we went to our like first few sessions with him, because everything's very like regimented. Like he knows what he's got planned to do, and he's got his plan, and he's gonna like fulfill it. And like what was another thing that like caught me off guard, like which I never used to have at my old gym, is when you're on the bag, he'll like watch you and like really watch you, and like you don't want to punch wrong because you're like, am I okay? So he's like really like attentive to detail, which is really good. And obviously, like, with how fit he was, he like pushes you to your limits all the time, like empty the tank every round and try and get as fit, like get your breath back between rounds. So yeah, and he's always dead calm. Like we went sparring the other like week with April Hunter, and like I came back to the car, and he was like, right, okay, have a drink. And I was like, okay. And he was like, have another drink. He's like, how you feeling? I was like, are we having like a chat now? So yeah, I'm just really grateful that he said that he'll like take me and James on. We were like little orphans, and yeah, I'm just grateful for the opportunity that we get to train under him.
What's it been like kind of seeing the growth of female boxing over these past couple of years in particular, maybe these past 3 or 4 years really now? Female boxing has just gone from strength to strength in the pro game. these past 6, 7 months in particular, though, with shows being behind closed doors, there's been a kind of a lot more of attention being able to be put onto it. We've seen, Katie Taylor's fought a couple of times, so brilliant fight between Rachel Ball, Shannon Courtenay, Savannah Marshall picked up a world title, Chantel Cameron, the list goes on. When you're, in your position where you're still craving that chance to get back out, you're desperate to get out and showcase your own abilities. What's it been like seeing the growth of the female side of boxing and you haven't been able to partake in it as of yet?
It's been amazing to watch because I think Fight Camp did a massive, it was massive for women's boxing, because I think people were actually watching it and going, do you know what, like these girls are athletes and they're so fit and they put on a good show. And I think with female fighters, it's the best fighting the best. You don't really get a lot of people fighting people who aren't that good, because like you were saying before, the standard's either amazing or there's no in between. So all the fights that were on, it was the best fighting the best. And even my manager, Steve Woods, when he first met me, he was like, I don't like female boxing. And I was like, oh, okay. But then he put a tweet out saying, he's changed his mind because of the Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas fight. So I think it's turning a lot of heads. Obviously, I'm a little bit jealous because I want to fight. But, these girls, if they keep on putting on amazing shows like Savannah Marshall and the Hannah Rankin fight, Savannah looked amazing. And I was like in awe. I was going, Ross, are you what? Like Ross is my partner. I was like, are you watching her? She's amazing. So if these girls keep on putting up the amazing shows and amazing performances that they're doing, it'll create more opportunities for people like me who are just trying to get in. And so someone might want to take a chance on, me who's a 2-0 and put me on a show because of their amazing performances.
Now, of course, I know it would help having somebody like Anthony in your corner who has the contacts, has the relationships with, with Matchroom amongst others. Because of your sparring exploits, taken into consideration as well, I know you've sparred a number of high-level fighters, Tasha Jonas, Terry Harper, and what have you. What's Anthony said to you about kind of the path moving forwards? Because I imagine he's on Eddie all the time trying to get yourself and James out onto a show. Has he had any kind of inkling as to when you could be out?
I don't know. He just keeps on saying, make sure that you're we're kind of both staying ready so that we don't have to get ready, because obviously, with these COVID times, anyone could test positive and then they're looking at another fight. I think Tony Bellew, did he tweet Eddie was it last year, saying, oh, so and so's tested positive, can I put one of my lads in? And so if we just stay ready, hopefully we could get an opportunity like that. But there's been no set date for me yet.
Talking about kind of your, as I say, your sparring exploits, and you mentioned April Hunter, Kirsty Bavington earlier on, Terry Harper, Tasha Jonas too, that I know of. What's he like sharing the ring with all of these guys, especially, all these girls rather, who have all got either brilliant experience and are all at world level, or I've seen Kirsty and in April's case, certainly there's a lot of expectation they can reach that level themselves.
It's been amazing. I think the first person, it was Kirsty, and then sparring Natasha, obviously that was really intimidating because all my experience from that prior was just white collar, and then I was sparring Natasha Jonas. But sparring Natasha, it's you see things that she does and you think, oh, she's a southpaw, I could do that too. And I've been training alongside Natasha for the past 2 weeks, and I'm just fangirling her. She'll be doing something on the bag and I'll be watching her and I'll think, oh, I hope she doesn't think I'm some stalker, but I just want to be like her. But yeah, it's unbelievable experience, because obviously the girls that I'm going to be sparring, they're not going to be as good as Natasha or as good as Terry or Kirsty or April. So, I've just learned so much from them spars, and I'm just grateful that they even wanted to spar someone like me.
Now, of course, something away from boxing I want to touch on is your work with the NHS. Throughout these times, I can imagine how draining and difficult it would have been for anybody working for the NHS, but for you yourself and for your story, how have you found this past year?
Oh, it's been just a bit crazy. Obviously, with the first lockdown, we didn't really have much information when we were treating people, because obviously it was such a brand new virus and we were getting drips and drabs from other countries, and we were starting up our clinical trials and trying to find out what works, because I think the Daily Mail was putting out, oh, this new wonder drug and this new wonder drug, but they obviously didn't work. So it was just a bit crazy learning about stuff like that. And, you know, on an emotional aspect, like we're opening up all these wards, and then there's people coming in where, like, when you go and see them on the first day, they're fine, they're just a little bit breathless. And then a few days later, like, the palliative nurses could be coming up and putting them on a syringe driver, and they're passing away. So on an emotional aspect, you know, it's been really hard, but because the workload's been so much, because we have a bit like of staff shortages, you kind of just have to kind of like put it to the back of your mind, because you've got so many other wards you need, or like people you need to see. So I kind of, and then, you know, with work, I go straight from work to boxing. So I kind of haven't really had time to just like sit down and go through it all, because I just keep myself preoccupied. But, you know, things are looking up. I've had my first vaccine, and I think, you know, loads of people have had their vaccine too, and we're shutting down COVID wards now. We're getting a lot less people admitted. We even had one of our doctors on the news, and I think they're calling him Captain COVID. So things are looking a lot better. I'm just a bit fortunate that I've been able to go to the gym and, you know, relieve some of my stresses, whereas people haven't been able to see the families, haven't been able to do any like much exercise because it's cold outside, and they've just kind of been like going to work and going home. So I think it's hit other people a lot harder than it's hit me, but things are starting to look up now, and hopefully we'll get a bit back of normality back soon.
What's it been like trying to juggle boxing with your work with the NHS?
My managers, both, well, and my manager are like really amazing. So my manager knows like about my boxing, and she'll work around my shifts around boxing, and works boxing around my shifts. So I'm kind of on the go all the time. And I actually sat down yesterday and I was like, oh my God, like I literally don't have time to just like sit and watch TV. Like the only time I watch TV is like in the bath when I'm watching The Office. I'm just on the go all the time, apart from Sundays, which I get to rest, but then my dog mithers me to take her out. So I can't complain though, because I get to go to the gym, and loads of people don't get to go and do that. But it has been stressful, but yeah, I think I'm just used to it now. It's just, this is the new norm for me, so I'm just used to it.
Rhiannon, if kind of you reach the heights that Anthony sets out for you, he says he can see you going all the way in the sport. Are you looking to go full time in boxing, or do you love your job too much that you don't think you'd be able to give it up?
I love my job and I love all the people that I work with so much, but I feel like if you get to that level, you don't ever want to look back and think, what if? And like, what if, you know, I didn't go to work that day and I did an extra session in the gym, or, you know, I was working that week and I was tired and I couldn't put everything into the gym. So, you know, if it got to that level, I think I would have to make the decision and probably go full time with boxing. I'd try and keep up my registration as a pharmacist, because I do obviously love my job and I love seeing the patients and people that I work with. But um, you know, I'd have to give it my all. Like I've said to my manager before. Well, she even said to me when I was like applying for a full-time job, she was like, you're only young once and you only get this opportunity once to do boxing, so you need to take it, because you don't want to look back when you're 40 and go, oh, I could have done more, when like now you can just do it.
Right, Rhiannon, I'm going to put you on the spot now before I let you leave to enjoy the rest of your evening. For
No.
everybody who hasn't heard of you yet, for everybody who does know you and has followed your journey so far, for all your new fans you will pick up, what would you like to say to them?
Oh, so to all the people who follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and just in my career, thank you so much. I wouldn't be able to do any of it without you. And to all my sponsors, Michael Brown Plumbing, Box Fit Food Prep, Fight Store UK, Applied Nutrition, Elite Performance Massage, like thank them so much, because obviously without them I wouldn't be able to go boxing, or like lose all the weight that I lost with Box Fit Food Prep. Like they really helped me throughout lockdown last year. I put on so much weight and they've literally helped me get back down to fight weight, so thank you to them. And all the new people, like, yeah, just watch me. I'm quite funny sometimes. I'm a bit shy and a bit awkward, but you'll learn to like me, hopefully.
Right, Rhiannon, it's been a pleasure to talk to you for the first time. I'm sure it will not be the last. I will keep in touch with you and I'll catch up with you again soon. Hopefully, you have a fight date when we do. Best of luck with kind of the rest of your training with Anthony, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Oh, thank you so much.